Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Taste of Dragons, the Toddcast, video game podcast that all you turkeys listen to. This week on the podcast, we'll be talking about some, Death is Stranded no longer, some concept art leaks and award news. The topic is all about giving thanks. And our dragon is well-versed in raiding tombs.
Gross.
Right?
Gross.
They're really dusty.
They're so dusty.
That's called stealing.
Huh.
Maybe.
When you put it like that.
Possibly. Well, my name is Brian.
My name is Troy.
Amanda.
I'm Joe.
And how was your guys' Thanksgiving?
Plentiful, I'd say. Harvest was good this year. We got all the corn. Definitely. We toiled very hard through the farms in order to bring such a bounty to the table, but it was worth it. A cornucopia.
Ooh.
We had to drive pretty far, but we got some dope leftovers, so I'm very happy. I'm a big fan of Thanksgiving, but I'm a bigger fan of Thanksgiving sandwiches.
Yeah, sure.
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah, day after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Nice.
Good, like, turkey stuffing, cranberry sauce, like Brussels sprout sandwich.
That's weird.
I'm there.
No, the Brussels sprouts, they're like, grilled and stuff. It's not just like straight. It's crunchy. It's good.
They cook them with bacon. It's all right.
Okay. So like bacon sprouts.
Yeah.
All right. Nice. How about you, Joe?
I had a good time. It was
Yeah.
great, actually. Any of my downtime, I got to play making more Surfetched and Pokemon, so it was good.
Oh, yeah. That's
It was a
always
good time.
fun.
And I made a turkey, which was really, really awesome.
That's right. That was your first turkey ever,
Ooh.
right?
No. I just hadn't made a turkey in like 12 years.
Do you
All right.
bake it or deep fry it?
Bake it.
Ooh, nice.
Tried to do the whole brine thing and then gave up on it. And then, there's just so much work involved in that. I wasn't willing to like have it possibly spoil in some manner. So, using my overcooked knowledge, I was like, nah, you don't need to do that. It's okay. But no, I wound up making like a garlic rub and like all this
Nice.
type of stuff, put it on it, and then basted it every 20 minutes and then skipped about an hour of basting it and then came back to it and was like, whoop, should have basted that. But,
You see, audience, this is the taste part of Taste of Dragons.
Exactly.
yeah,
We collectively know a thing or two about the kitchen.
it's true.
Collectively.
Very collective.
we lean heavily on Joe. But
And Amanda.
yeah.
The four of us combined make up, like, maybe a chef?
That makes real weird sandwiches.
Brussels sprouts.
They're good though.
But hey, we love sandwiches here at the Taste of Dragons podcast.
That's
It's
right.
true.
That is our meter of excellence.
It is. And if I were to give our podcast a sandwich rating, it'd be infinity.
Whoa.
Infinite sandwiches.
The infinite sandwich.
Yeah.
Is it infinity? Is it an infinite amount of sandwiches or one sandwich that just goes on for infinity?
Oh, no, you bite it, and then it's just always a whole sandwich.
Oh, that kind of scares me.
Okay, I don't know
that
about a whole
concept.
sandwich. Yeah, I think you get 2 or 3 bites in, but it's always just 2 or 3 bites in. The sandwich just continues. So as you're biting, it's just like the sandwich never goes away. It's like
That's even worse for me.
What? I
I'm
would
looking
want 2
down
or
at
3
like
bites.
a bit sandwich, even though it's like 4 days old. Nah, I can't do that.
I can't do
It
that
doesn't
either.
get old.
I know it
Yeah.
does it, but like that's just like mentally, like looking down at a bit sandwich that I haven't eaten in a while.
Okay,
I'm
if
with
we're talking,
him.
if we're talking mentally, I went to a sandwich that was actually way too tall. Like it was
All right,
infinite
all right.
in the height realm. So as you were trying to eat it, you can't put your mouth around those. So it just keeps getting bigger and
It was
bigger and
like
bigger. It's infinite
like
sandwich.
a tower?
Like a tower sandwich. That's what I thought when you said infinite sandwich, not length. Of
I
sandwich.
went length, like when you get like one of those 6-foot subs.
Yeah.
Except as the length goes on, it changes in the type of sandwich it is.
Ooh.
But it's just like
I was thinking more like Harry Potter style. Like you have the plate, and then you pick up the sandwich, and then you finish eating like that diagonal sandwich half, and then you look down, and there's still 2 pieces of sandwich. You
Yeah.
just never get
that
it.
would
I like
mess
that.
with me.
Yeah, and I went to something completely different. I went to like a bag of sandwiches. So you reach in, and then you
I'm
pull
also
out a
on board with
sandwich. And
The
so,
sandwich Santa.
Yeah, so like you go in and you think of a sandwich, you pull it out. Hey, that's a
Santa-wich?
sandwich.
Bag of sandwich holding.
Yeah, a bag of sandwiches. That's exactly where I was going.
Santa witch.
I like how we all went to different places with this. It's
Yeah.
nice. I like it.
On this podcast, you can have whatever type of infinite sandwich you would like.
However, you'd like that sandwich to be gotten to you.
The possibilities are
They're
Infinite.
endless. Yeah, infinite. I messed that up. That was my bad. Well, let's get on to some games over here.
What are you playing?
And Amanda, what did you play this week?
I'm actually really excited because we got a game a little while ago, and we've been putting off playing it until we had like the perfect time. And the holidays seemed like a great time to get to it.
Yeah.
Because Troy and I played Knights and Bikes.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And it's a little bit of amazing.
I
It's
want to ride my bike.
I wanna ride my bike.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen the preview for the game, watch it and then know that is exactly what you're going to experience during the game. Is they have this really amazing song and then just random things happen. And that's kind of what the game is. I don't want to say it's a collection of mini games because it that doesn't evoke the correct feeling.
All right.
And it's not like a fighting beat 'em up game. That's very different. It's kind of like almost like a beautiful mixture of the two.
Okay.
Is you both play a character. It's not split screen. You both share the same screen, so you can there's the boundaries. You can only run so far right before you stop because the other player is too far away. And you kind of run through the story together. Is sometimes you're both children, and then they're just playing like kids would play. So sometimes you'll go to the next story event, and it'll be like, I'll race you there. And then it won't really tell you how to play, but you kind of get it.
Yeah,
Okay.
it'll be like I'll race you there, and then the camera will zoom in, like the guitar will rip, and you'll see both their faces like, let's go! And then it'll go into you'll have a whole different like meter that kind of shows up on the screen to like see who's winning. It turns like a racing game just until you get to the end line, and then it's like, Nessa won, or Desmelda won, and then it's like, all right, back to what we're doing.
So it's kind of like WarioWare in that it doesn't tell you how to do things.
Yeah.
There's some zaniness in there.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. And then there's a little bit of like combat in that. I don't want to give the story away. And also it won't make sense if I don't explain all of it. But you're gonna fight. You're fighting these like little animated golf balls. And I have different attack powers than Troy and I were playing, so I had different attack powers than Troy did. So I could jump on things and splash water at things, and then he had like a frisbee that he could throw. But if we chained things together, we could do other stuff.
I could throw my frisbee at her, and then she could kick it, since her ability was awesome boots. So if I couldn't reach something, throw it to her, she kicks it in the right direction, boom. Puzzle solved. Yeah, I guess it's kind of like an action puzzler, like an action environmental puzzle with like a really fun story of these two new friends who become best friends instantly.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's so crazy, and like it says, it's very night themed, so like medieval themed, and very very bike centric, and they capture like the energy of being a kid so well, not in a way that's like childish, but in a way that's like super fun. Like Troy said, he was like, "I'll race you," and then like you can just imagine like fire showing up behind their eyes as they like run as fast as they can, and in the same way that I've seen other video games do, but in a fun way, they will do normal things, but then it'll like cause an explosion, and the explosion isn't real, it's just their imagination, or maybe it isn't, but that's very fun. So sometimes they'll sit down and like a tent will appear around them even though it's not there, or like I said with the golf balls where they're like alive, it's like, well, maybe they're not alive, maybe they're just imagining it. But
this game is just dripping with charisma, and to me the biggest draw to this game are its two main characters. You have one character who is a stowaway and very, very simple, very goth almost in going through the goth phase. And then to counter her is another character, Desmelda, who is just reckless, chaotic imagination at all time and is just fiery.
she's got pigtails, and then she's got a hoodie jacket that's also a cape. So she pulls the hoodie up and she's drawn a crown on it. And then she has a cape.
It reminds me a lot of Mabel from Gravity Falls.
It sounded like Dipper and Mabel,
Yeah. And then the other character, Nessa, is a little more like Dipper, but except she's always very game to jump in with whatever crazy thing is about to happen.
She's very yes and.
Yeah. So, that game is great. The characters are awesome. It takes place in England. It's dope.
Yeah, but to touch back on our conversation from last week of like games that are good to play with other people, this one is definitely worth like a sofa game. Like sit next to someone while you play it and enjoy the craziness, the zaniness.
Nice. And you guys were able to beat it?
No.
No, not yet. Oh, okay.
Yeah, we got pretty far, and we're like, well, we're good now.
We'll jump back in.
Yeah.
Cool.
Save some for later.
All right. Well, nice game there, Amanda. I'll go next. This week I played Slay the Spire, which is the deck building kind of. It's not really roguelite, but it's just a deck building game where you're battling enemies with a deck of cards that have attacks or defends.
Yeah.
And you have certain powers depending on your character that you choose. So normally when I would play this game, because I've been playing this game for a while now, normally when I play this game, they have a thing called the daily climb. So it's a random set of rules, a random set of powers. You only get to play a certain character, but everybody in the entire world can only play this for one day.
Okay.
And then you have a ranking leaderboard to see where you're at on this and how you did against other people. So I like to do that because it was fun. It was a nice little way to change it up as well. But this week I was like, you know what? I'm going to play this game like I guess you're supposed to. I'm going to play the actual game.
Yeah.
It turned out to be, it was a lot of fun anyways, but it turned out to be a lot of fun. Like, it was one of those, because normally I'm used to, like, just some, like, crazy powers where it's like, oh, you're going to get, like, a whole bunch of more of, like, a certain type of enemy on the map. This time it was just like, oh, this is the normal amount of enemies you're supposed to have on the map. Okay.
We're not trying to, like, challenge you
Yeah,
here.
exactly.
We're giving you a good experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Measured.
So it was a lot easier. like and they have a mode that's called like Ascension mode. So you'll actually you start on level 1, and then if you beat that, you can go to level 2, and it gets a little harder. You get to level 3, it gets a little harder, and you have to beat them in order to keep on going. And it goes all the way up to 20. So as at this point, I beat it I think 4 times. So I'm on Ascension level 5. And
wait, like a story mode?
It's not really a story.
Yeah,
it's
I'm going through it too.
It's just much more of a it's just an extra challenge that you can put on it. So it is like so each one of the Ascension modes will have a different it'll have a different modifier, but it is like a modifier that everybody else will have on Ascension mode 1 and Ascension mode 2. And so the enemies get a little bit harder. They maybe get a little bit more frequent. The stuff in shops cost a little bit more. And so once you beat that, you'll go up to the next level as well. And I've been playing that this week, and it's a whole lot of fun.
It's a phone game, iPhone?
I've been playing on Steam.
Oh, okay.
I believe it is available on like your Switch now. I think it might be available for PS4 and Xbox. I can't remember now. But I've been playing on Steam since it first came out, and it's just still a phenomenal game. Slay the Spire is just great.
I jumped into it earlier this year.
Yeah.
I want to jump back in and get a little further in it. It's really well made.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And the developer is still constantly developing it. They're right now in development of another character that they're adding to it. Right now there's 3.
Yeah.
So they're adding a 4th one soon that's in beta. So I've watched a couple of streamers play that, the beta one. I was like, oh, that's really interesting. And as I was watching them, I was like, oh, I got an itch. I gotta scratch it.
I got it.
Gotta do it. So yeah, Slay the Spire. It's so fun.
Yeah.
If you're into like deck buildings or just games that you play with cards, it's phenomenal.
It's fulfilling to see just a well-made, thought-out game.
Yeah.
Do you know
and
if it's
the
also
gameplay part is just well thought out.
Yeah.
Do you know if it's also a physical game, or is it just?
I think it's digital only. I don't think I've ever seen it in the stores, at least as far as Switch.
Digital only.
Yep.
Well, I didn't know if they like a physical.
Oh, I see what you mean. No. Because this is
like actual cards.
Yeah,
like a tabletop.
No, because the enemies are you don't see what the enemy's actually doing. The enemy's not playing with cards; they're just actual enemies.
Okay.
So you're just playing your cards against them. So yeah, that was my game this week. How about you, Joe? What did you play?
I decided I was going to continue just creating Sirfetch'd in Pokemon.
That's
So I spent about 3 days doing that. So it takes a while. So I am, however, I did start giving them out, and I'm fairly excited about that. And then
What do you mean giving them out?
Like anybody we knew that needed one,
Oh.
they would be like, oh yeah, I got to find somebody who has them. Like I got like 20 of them. You want one? You want one? I felt like a dealer of Sirfetch'd. So like 1 or 2 of our friends were like, oh man,
Hey, you kid.
Hey.
Go, you
need them fighting types? You need a lance?
Yeah, you need a lance.
I might get that one with the lance, maybe.
I got some leeks, some extra leeks. You want some leeks?
I will say I will grouch heavily about the leaks, specifically about the game. I don't know if I complained about it last week.
No, I don't think so.
So when you're catching Farfetch'd in the game, it was about 1 at this point now. It's about 1 in 6 have a leak in their hands. I've only ever gotten
all of the images have the leak.
You can
all
also
of them get an item that's a leak.
There's an item that's a leak that is a separate item, and that item helps you to get critical hits more often. And the only way, if you didn't want to know how to create Sirfetch'd, you might want to just ignore me for the next 10 minutes. Just yell la 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 really loud. 10 seconds, sorry, not 10 minutes. 10 seconds. The way you get Sirfetch'd is by hitting critical attack 3 times in one battle without dying.
Oh, like when you're going to capture.
As a Farfetch'd.
So
you need to do that as a Farfetch'd to evolve into Sirfetch'd. So
gotcha.
to get a Sirfetch'd, you have to have a Farfetch'd, and the easiest way, there are other items in the game that you can have that help you with critical attacks. But I found it to be rather aggravating because at first I was trying to do it, and I did not realize that the leak was a separate item. Because I thought the same thing. Because he's carrying a leak.
Yeah.
It took me probably catching about a dozen of them and I just started bouncing back to see what was in their hands. I'm like, nothing's in their hands. What's going on here? The very first one I caught had a leek in its hand, and it said they have this item. And then I was like, I don't understand what's going on. Do you only ever get one of them? Do you have to hand it to each one of them to get that Surfetch to get it to evolve into Surfetch? No, like it just now I think with how many I've caught, I think it's their average is about 1 in 6. Have the leak. So then I take that one leak and I give it to the other 5 of them as I make it. Because I for a while, I really did just have Sobble and 5 Farfetch'd and just trade the leak down the line and just continue running around the wild area and seeing if I could find things that were not too strong to where they would kill me, but not like, I wasn't overly strong either, so I couldn't kill them in less than 3 moves.
You have to tell them about your mystery trade plan.
Oh, it's the best. Okay. So I have a lot of them obviously now, and I'm going to make an entire box full of them, and then I'm just going to surprise trade them to people. And then Brian came up with how I have to relabel them.
She has to name them all Surprise.
It's the best.
So you're making a lot of Surfetches. You're going to send them into the surprise trading routes?
I have to do it with the surprise trade.
Why are you doing this?
Okay, so when I first started off with the surprise trade thing, I was trading people like straight up garbage. I've been playing the game for like 3 hours. I don't know any better. Here's a Caterpie. Here's a level 7 Choodle. Here's some Wooloos.
Yeah.
Here's some real garbage. And I felt really terrible about it, but they were sending me like level 1 Dreepies. They were sending me like Ponytas. They were sending me things I can't have in my game.
Stuff, yeah.
Like really good stuff. And I was like, oh man, I got to balance the karmic scales at some point. Like I have to do this or I will feel like a terrible piece of garbage forever.
Put the good back out in the world.
That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to, as soon as I have a whole box full, that's what I'm going to do. I'm just
that's
one day
awesome.
of surprise trades and surprises. So that's what I've been doing my time. The game has absorbed my life.
Cool.
Surfetch is awesome.
I like it when games like they have a goal, but then within that goal you make your own game out of it.
Yeah.
That's always awesome when that happens. That's cool.
Yeah, and it's actually really hilarious, especially with Joe, because sometimes those goals will just completely derail you from the actual game.
That's okay.
And I'll think, Joe, do you even have your 3rd gym badge?
I went and did it last night.
Oh, okay. There you go.
I did it last night so that I could go. I was told there was another wild area that was like uber big, even bigger than the one before. Yeah, your face, Manda, says you don't know about that wild area. Go get that 3rd gym badge, girl.
I haven't. I just did the sleeping before that happens, so that's literally the next thing I'm doing. Yeah.
Just do it. It's totally worth it.
Yeah, that's what I was telling Joe. I was like, because I got ahead of Joe, and I've only been playing the game like 5 hours. Because
he was actually playing the game. I was literally only playing the game to get Surfetched. And as soon as I got to where the Farfetch'd were, I'm like, well, I don't really need to do anything else in this game. I guess I go play something else. So, no, I'm just going to make Surfetched. That's what I'm going to do with my time.
Yeah, but my league card looked great.
Yeah.
Brian showed me those. Mine was really dopey. I didn't realize how bad mine was. And then he was like, yeah, you could do this and you could do that. I'm like, where do you do all that? He's like, you go get where the polka jobs are. I'm like, what are polka jobs? So then I learned about that, and so I changed my card, and then I started sending just Surfetched out like it's an entire team. So Surfetched, so when they come back, they're all walking with their little lances. It's really cute.
If you haven't seen the league cards yet, or if you don't have Pokemon, they're like little business cards you can hand out to other people that you encounter in the game, and it's just a picture of your character. And you can make them very silly.
Yeah.
It's great. I don't want a background for mine. It looks dopey.
They're like trading cards, like baseball cards.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
It's a
man.
better
Like
analogy.
Pokemon cards.
Like Pokemon cards, but for
with
people.
Oh.
They're Peoplemon cards.
Peoplemon cards.
How do you catch them all, though? I think that's illegal.
Yeah,
no.
I'm pretty sure that's illegal.
All right. Well, good playing there, Joe. Nicely done. And then bringing it up on our rear, you got Troy.
What up, y'all? How you doing?
Hey.
Having a good time here, doing the Taste of Dragons podcast. Feeling good. Well, I got a video game to talk about.
Good.
I got a couple, actually. But I got my final 2 cents on Death Stranding. I finished the game yesterday. Saw the credits multiple times. And so just to kind of wrap up my final thoughts on it, a day later, I'm still thinking about the game because it just ended. Mm-hmm. And you know what? That game deals with themes of death, of reincarnation, of culture, of drone syndrome, of the multiverse, of all types of really heavy themes and philosophies and whatnot. And I have been thinking about it since then, except I've only been thinking of one thing.
What's that?
I got to finish that highway. I got to finish building that highway. And I think that perfectly sums up how my feelings on Death Stranding are. The gameplay itself, I fell in love with. Building things, putting things into the world for other real players that are playing the game can benefit from. Serenely walking from one place to another and finding the best route and taking in the landscapes and all of that stuff. I love meeting all the quirky little post office workers that are all just weird and cameos and whatnot. Love the gameplay stuff. For me, the story stuff didn't quite leave a lasting impression.
It's not what brought you back.
It's not what I'm thinking about now.
Yeah.
And when I think about like Metal Gear games, like the first Metal Gear was very simple. There was a soldier who needed to stop a nuclear weapon. That was the premise. It then ballooned into a very huge, crazy, convoluted plot. But at the base, it's all started with something very simple. And like, I don't know, it felt like it was really building to the kind of crazy moments. This series just starts with that without kind of the grounded framework, I think, for me. So when it does go into places where it's like, what is happening? I'm just not emotionally connected enough to the characters yet to feel that, or I personally didn't feel that way. So like, I think it's really cool. I think the what he's going for with the story is very interesting. But all I want to do is build that highway. I was texting a former podcaster here. Zach was talking about it, his thoughts, and he said something that was really good. He was like, it was fascinating to watch a creative genius without any reins. Like, objectively, just having to watch someone just let go without anybody telling him no was fascinating. Whether it's going to work for everybody, no. But that's kind of not the point.
Yeah, and do you think this would have been, not that it wouldn't have been the same game, but how do you think it would have been if somebody were there to tell him no for something?
To be honest, I think the gameplay would be largely the same.
Okay.
I think the pacing of the story would be different. I think there could be a few monologues that are placed in different areas of the story. There may be some more thoughts about how much story do we give people at one time versus throughout the entire game. I think there are probably some editorial choices that could have helped dole out this pretty cool premise. And then the details that are within it.
Does this game give you confidence in the new movies he's making?
Yeah. I would love to see a Kojima movie.
It's going to be 10 hours long.
Yeah.
No intermission.
Well, because I feel like it's going to put some confines on him. He's kind of conquered the video game world. He has become his own entity where he can do whatever he wants.
He would totally bring back the intermission.
Yeah, he would kind of have to start over to go into movies, and I think that may be okay for him. Get some tips from Guillermo. Like, I think he may need to lean on people in order to make the movies happen, which would make me fascinated to see what he comes up with. Yeah,
somebody needed to say no to him about that ride ad. That was when you're using the restrooms, it cuts to a Norman Reedus show that's going on right now called Ride.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And there's current present day actor.
Troy started to buy Monster. They have all that Monster product placement, and we were on our way to Thanksgiving. It was a very long drive, and he's like, "Well, I know what I'm doing."
I've bought 4 Monsters in the span of this game.
Did it give you plus 25%?
Oh, it did. I'm not trying to advertise, but that worked. Scarily so.
When you don't drink taurine and then you go to drink some taurine, it's got a bang.
It's got a bang. But anyway, I didn't want to talk that long about it. I was going to be quick, but
that's okay. That's quick enough for Death Stranding. Or, for Kojima, that's quick.
Right. That's a Kojima minute.
It's a Kojima minute.
But I have a very few thoughts on Star Wars. I delved back into Star Wars. I'm about 3 more hours into it. The game still looks great, except it is way harder than my initial impressions were. Way harder. Yeah. I am dying a lot. it's kind of unfortunate because there's two aspects to it. Yeah.
Do you think that's because you set it down for the holidays, or do you think that's the game?
There was a learning curve when I had to pick it back up. I had to look up how to counter enemies and whatnot. But then once I got caught up, then I was fine. And that's when I think the game realized that it needed to put me back in my place. There are multiple difficulties. I'm on the second hardest. I may bump it down depending on how it goes, mostly because when you do die in this game, you are respawned, and that respawn can take a long time to load, which is not great, especially when your company's name is Respawn. Like, if anything, I want that to be quick. I want to get right back into the game.
They're not called fast load.
Oh, damn it, you're right. So that's kind of killing me. And so gameplay wise, I'm still working myself out to see how I'm gonna approach the game. But it's Star Wars, get your lightsaber, pew pew.
It's got the only droid that should actually be adventuring.
Right. It's got a scout droid or something?
Something like that. But it's like actually made for being in terrain. It's not like, oh man, we took this butler droid
whose steps are a foot apart.
Yeah. Or this droid that has treads that couldn't, it's like, I'm only good on concrete. I hope that's okay with you.
I mean, I do have a jetpack, but I forgot because, story.
And even the ball droid is just like, what? No.
Why is this made?
Yeah.
His hair looks great, though. That actor.
Yeah?
Oh, Cal?
Oh, yeah, Cal. His hair looks fantastic. Like, it's not long hair either. It's short hair, but they still found a good way to get the wind to blow through it. Give it layers.
Yeah, and it's not... Because when I first looked at it, I was like, oh, it's just Obi-Wan hair, like original Obi-Wan hair, like prequel Obi-Wan hair. And then, like, as it's moving, though, and like you said, as it's flowing, I was like, no, it's not. They did something with it. It's like Obi-like.
It's an Obi-like.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to where the game's going to go. I'm still in it for the story and the game part of it. It's just it's like a throwback to like a Ratchet and Clank or like a old Jack and Daxter game where you just have one environment and you can poke around at all the little areas in that environment, and there's secrets and there's hidden things that you can't get to until you come back with more powers. It definitely feels like an older game, but where it's modern is like the Dark Souls punishing combat. Which doesn't meld with the Star Wars narrative of being like, I have a lightsaber, but adds a fun gameplay element to it that may be okay.
Have you found any of the shortcuts yet?
Oh yeah, they're great. You go. What's so far? What's great about the shortcuts is that even the long way was fun because running around walls and sliding down ice slopes and swinging on ropes is already fun. The first time you do it. And so when you get around an area and then you find a door that opens that leads to the previous area, so you don't have to go all the way around, that shortcut's nice, but I still enjoyed the journey to get there, which is great. So it was a win-win. I was a little scared at first when I heard there were shortcuts that it was going to be really annoying to do the first leg.
Yeah. And
then the shortcut's like, finally, I never have to do that again. But no, I'm actually looking forward to going back to some of those places. And the game is built so that you do have to come back to these planets when you get more powers. So you will be traversing this land over and over again. And it's fun to traverse. So
that's nice.
That's good.
Yeah.
I was also worried about the number of planets when they're like, oh, you'll unlock shortcuts. And I was like, does that mean everything's on one planet? Not that would be bad, but with Star Wars, it's like you can do anything anywhere.
Yeah.
It would be a bummer for it to all be at the same place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good games there, Troy.
There have been a lot of glitches. I think I've read reports about it on the news, and I can't talk about this game and not say yes, there are glitches in this game.
Okay.
They ironed out a lot of them since I haven't played it in a few weeks, but some not so much.
Yeah,
I was just fighting like a ram, and it charged at me, and I dodged it and looked around, and it just went bloop into the ground, and I was like, force power. Jedi mind tricked you into the ground. There was also like an artifact in front of me, and I went to go like touch it, and then there was an invisible wall that I couldn't get through, and I was like, what? I can't get through this. And there were two huge pillars, and the only way forward was forward, but I couldn't get there. And I'm like, this is weird. And then I looked at the solid pillar, and I could step through it, and I actually stepped through the pillar into like the game dev world where you're not supposed to see, and then out of it to get the artifact, and I was like, force power. Whoa, yeah, those metachlorians are really acting up in this area.
But you don't realize that the midichlorians are in you.
Oh, they're in all of us,
They're in all
Brian.
of us.
Yeah, so, okay, that's it for Star Wars.
No, that's fine.
And Death Stranding.
Yeah. Little buggy.
It is. It is.
All right. Well, that'll do it for our game segment. That'll now bring us to our news segment.
News.
Yeah, there's some news. I'll start with some fun news. So there's going to be a concert series for Undertale. It's going to be called Undertale Live.
Hell yeah.
And this was announced, I think, a couple of weeks ago, I think. And but it's going to be starting in Chicago. And what they'll be doing is it's going to be an orchestral concert of the music. However, everybody who's in attendance can vote on what happens while they're playing the music.
Like what song they do next?
Kind of like how they're going to play it. So, like, are they going to kill the thing? Are they going to
Wait, so they're going to have the actual game there, like, being played?
I'm not 100% sure on the details of
Okay.
it. All I know is that the audience is going to get to choose whether or not I think they're going to kill something. They're going to talk
Okay.
to it.
So
They're going to do a
they're
little
kinda
bit of
making
both.
their own new Undertale experience live.
Exactly, yeah, because depending on what you do in the game is what kind of music you get.
Right.
So if you go on a pure pacifist route, you
Right.
get completely different music than
Right.
if you kill everything.
I see.
Are they coming to Florida?
I think the only one they've announced so far is Chicago, but they have said they're going to do more.
Cool.
But I thought that was just really interesting about how they're going to do that.
Yeah, I go to that
Yeah.
easily.
Download an app. Upvote, downvote.
Oh, sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Because I think that they did these people are the same people who did another concert series. I forget which game it was, but that one actually was being played while they were doing the concert.
Awesome.
And then, so depending on what decision, whether or not they got into a battle or not,
That's awesome.
They would on the fly change the music as it was going along. So
It's like an old harken back to like original silent movies that were silent, and then
Yep.
you would have a live pianist there at the theater to accompany the silent film as you watch it. And so the companies could kind of do whatever they want. They would take what they're seeing in the movie and then make it faster or slower or more heartfelt. So the idea of people doing that with video games now, I like that.
oh, yeah. Yeah, and it was pretty cool because also it also incentivizes you to go to multiple ones because
Get that money.
No two concerts are going to be exactly the same.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought that's just really cool. And Undertale has great music.
And it's a great game.
Yeah, and it's also the game is not too shabby. And then we also have some concept art, kind of might have possibly rumored or leaked, right, Manda?
Yes, I'm very excited about this. It's like almost too little to even be news, but
It's enough for you.
It's so exciting that we have to mention it. Is some concept art leaked for a medieval style game that's being developed, and there's a rumor that it might be Fable 4. When they asked the concept artist about the pictures, he took them off of his website. So that's not confirmation, but what if it is?
I mean, if you get nothing to hide, then just leave it. Just leave
Yeah.
it up there. if it's not Fable, just leave
Right?
it.
Right?
Yeah.
It's the picture of a lady, and she looks like an adventurer, but she has a crown. So maybe the main character's female, and you're the queen, because you're the king in the last game. So
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true.
When was the last Fable game about?
4 million years ago.
Word.
That's what it feels like to Manda.
I don't know, because they came out with 3, and then they canceled Journeys, so they never came out with Fable 4.
Cancel Fable Journeys. You played that Fable VR game or Connect game?
I was desperate. Yeah.
And then they had one where you were like little Fable creatures.
Yeah, it
or
was like a board
beings.
game kind of thing, yeah.
That also wasn't that great.
No, they were good games for like in between games. Like, hey, we're developing the main game, and here's like a little concept thing that we came out with to hold you over until 4 comes
Until
out.
Fable 4.
And then they just never Journeys was
Yeah.
canceled. Yeah,
I just
so
feel
they
like those middle games are just not great. That it just feels like Fable, like the Fable franchise, just kind of went into a weird place.
Yeah, I have no idea what happened. I bet that's a really interesting story because we've been watching a lot of documentaries recently, and usually when that happens, that's like an internal thing that we don't know anything about.
Yeah.
But with the new documentaries that are out, sometimes you can get a glimpse of like, oh, this we put funding into something and that didn't pan out, so this got canceled, or maybe they demoed the game and people were just like, you totally missed the mark, but I don't know.
Put a request for No Clip on YouTube to do a documentary on this.
Since everyone listens. So.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, of course.
But concept art.
Yeah, because I do think something did happen with Peter Molyneux, and I know something along those lines because I know he left to do his own studio and all that other jazz. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it. I'm sure it did. But yeah, I know they were developing the new one and then they just didn't.
Hey AJ, can you look that up? Can you just give us a short dissertation on why they didn't make Fable 4 before now?
Yeah,
Thanks, fact checker AJ.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Get off the piano and do that. And then also on other news, Facebook bought Beat Games, which are the studio that made Beat Saber.
Oh,
which
great.
Makes complete sense because Facebook owns Oculus.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And Beat Saber is probably what caused a lot of people to either buy an Oculus or people who had an Oculus to go, oh, I have something to play.
Beat Saber is like the perfect VR game.
Yeah.
It gives you 2 lightsabers and then has you slice blocks to make beats and music. I've played it. It's amazing.
Yeah.
One downside is you get real sweaty because you're moving around a bunch. And then you can't see because your Oculus or your VR, whatever, is all sweaty and gross. And you're like, I probably shouldn't have this expensive machinery on my sweaty head.
You could probably buy a headband.
Oh, damn, you're right.
Those are already invented.
Oh, I'm on it.
And then the last bit of news, the Game Creator Awards are coming up, or
Just the Game Awards.
Game Awards, there we go. I don't know why I always add creator in the middle of that. But the Game Awards is coming up. And there's a little shenanigans that people have been possibly calling out because it's run, or it was started by Jeff Knightley.
Keighley.
Keighley. I'm terrible with his last name.
Game Creator Awards,
Yeah,
Jeff
no.
Knightley.
Whatever. The dude, Jeff.
The dude, Jeff.
Hey, we promised to give you news. We didn't promise it wasn't going to be the gist of the news.
Hey, if you want facts, go to AJ.
Yeah, exactly. This isn't called Accurate of Dragons.
No, it's a taste. It's a taste.
So Jeff, he created it, and he's he's the
It's
big
his-
pusher.
it's his baby.
Yeah, it's his baby. But he's very good friends with Kojima.
He worships Kojima.
Yeah, but Kojima's game Death Stranding has 9 nominations this year.
Yeah.
And so people are like, oh, what's going on with the nominations? That seems very suspect with how many nominations. I mean, I'm sure the game's great, but, why does this have so many nominations? Maybe there's some shenanigans going on with the way that you guys choose your nominees.
Yeah, it doesn't look great on face value.
It doesn't.
Because Jeff Keighley's also in the game.
Yes.
Do they have a panel of people who choose, or like is he? Because I could see
Exactly.
that being the type of thing that's like, I'm not even involved in that.
Here's
that-
the paperwork.
Yeah, and that's actually exactly what it is.
Yeah.
He came out and he's like, well, listen, Kojima actually is on our board, as are, Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, all these people are on the board as well. And the board meets, twice a year just to discuss logistics and everything going on with this. But none of them have anything to do with it. I don't have anything to do with the choosing of it. This is all just the publications. This is all the journalists. They're the ones that actually choose. They're the one that do all this.
He just organizes the event. He's not a journalism.
Yeah,
He's not
yeah.
in this from a journalistic aspect.
Exactly, not this specific thing.
But it probably wouldn't hurt if you nominated your boss's friend.
Yeah.
Promote that guy.
Yeah, and I think it is I think it's either hundreds or it's 1,000 different things that are all aggregated, all their votes.
Oh, okay,
in
that's
order
nice.
to choose the nominees, and then all those vote on it in order to choose the winners. But it just really doesn't look good. And I get why people look that way and think that way, but. Yeah,
I agree with the awards that I'm seeing it up for so
Agreed.
far. So
Yeah.
it's not like I can say
You can get best children's game or something like that.
I think it's not nominated for something that it should be, actually, to be honest. Yeah.
So you want to go through a couple of the things?
Some funny nominations. Nominations were announced maybe about a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
So on this best multiplayer game, we have Borderlands 3, makes sense. We have Call of Duty Modern Warfare, makes sense. I think Death Stranding could have been a good multiplayer game because that's the main reason why I play it. It's like new multiplayer
It's
where
like
you don't have to play with people.
It can be the best Stranding game.
Yeah.
If that's what you'd like.
Done. But what's funny also on this is for best multiplayer game is Tetris 99. You have Norman Reedus is nominated for Death Stranding. Ashley Birch, who is a former dragon of ours.
Yep.
On The Outer Worlds. Courtney Hope from Control.
Yep.
Mads Mikkelsen from Death Stranding. He's one of the villains. And then Lauren Bailey from Gears 5, which we don't have Xboxes, so we have not played Gears 5.
AJ, go
we
play
apologize.
Gears 5
Well,
and
you
tell
know what?
us.
Yeah, AJ.
I do have a Windows system, and I do have access to Gears 5. I just haven't played it.
You? Okay. All right. That works.
Yeah.
And then it goes to a lot of different genres, action of the year and independent games. But the Game of the Year awards, these are nominated to be the best games of this year. You have The Outer Worlds, which I haven't played, but will.
Yep.
Death Stranding, I could see that on there. Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, which we covered when it came out.
Yep.
Not a game for me, too hard. Smash Brothers Ultimate, sure.
Yeah, everyone's there.
Everyone's playing it, sure. Resident Evil 2, which I hear is phenomenal.
X gonna give it to you.
X gonna give it to you. And one of Brian's favorite games this year, Control.
Yeah. Yeah. I would have loved to have seen the Outer Wilds on there.
Right.
Just because that is it's an indie game, and I do think an indie game should be on there. And I do think the Outer Wilds is probably one of the best indie games of the year.
But I have bad news for you.
I know.
Because the Outer Wilds is nominated for Independent Game.
Yep.
So is Baba Is You and Katana Zero, which we talked about. But unfortunately, Untitled Goose Game is nominated for Independent Game.
I saw that, and I was like, oh, man. That's why I wish it would be at least,
Why
some
an
sort of...
Untitled Goose on the Game of the Year?
I know. I hear
That's
you. I hear you.
a travesty.
You know what? Shenanigans.
That was a-
Shenanigans.
Oh,
Shenanigans.
That was a phenomenon.
Exactly. It was phenomenonkanam.
That's the actual true shenanigans going on. That's the true controversy.
Yeah. But Game Awards will be December 12th.
All right.
This year. 8 o'clock, 8:30, something like that. We'll be covering that in some fashion.
Yeah.
Probably on video. Something live. Some reaction, some hot takes.
Yeah.
Some
You
hot
can look in our
tastes
cold eyes.
as we disagree with everything.
Literally everything. Maybe it'll be some exclusive reveals.
Ooh.
Probably. I mean, it's Jeff knows what he's doing.
Yeah, no. It's actually a pretty fun show.
It actually is.
It's mostly about like the reveals of what games are coming out later.
Yeah.
It's a huge advertisement.
Yeah. I wonder if Norman Reedus is going to be there drinking Monster with his advertisement of Ride in the
No,
background.
he's going to be on a Harley while drinking Monster.
I do feel like they nominated Mads Mikkelsen just to see if he'll show up because he's an amazing, film actor. He's great in the game. It doesn't do as much as Norman Reedus by far. I feel like they nominated him just to be like, if we can get Mads Mikkelsen to be at the Game Awards, legitimized.
Yeah, that's what's going to legitimize them. Mad Mikkelsen. That's what we're missing, guys. We need to get him here.
He's so serious all the time.
Yeah, he is.
Get him to the Game Awards.
Even one of the Easter eggs that's in there, which is if you play the game if it's your birthday, because you enter your birthday in
your actual birthday.
If your actual birthday, you play the game and then you rest. When you rest and you come to, like, you get like the memories of the baby, and it's always Mad Mikkelsen. But he completely breaks the fourth wall, and he's just like, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" And no, I'm talking to you.
Oh.
He's like looking directly at the camera.
Oh,
he's
my.
Like, I just want to wish you a very special day.
Oh, my.
A happy birthday to my special person. It's just like, oh, God. And it's just like 100% serious, too. He's still...
Don't murder me.
He's like, yeah, it's absolutely Hannibal-esque. like, oh, you're going to eat me.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And then it just goes back to normal. It's like,
It's for those reasons you should play Death Stranding.
Yeah.
1,000%.
Even in an Easter egg, he's 1,000% serious.
You know what? He should win just for that.
He should absolutely win.
Also, the Goose should have been nominated for Best Actor. Just saying.
Yes.
As well.
You're right.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I'll stop.
All right, and that'll do it for the news segment.
You know, Brian, we had a lovely Thanksgiving. It was
Yeah.
really good.
Nice.
And what's great about, the 3000 Brigade and our friends is that we have a Friendsgiving after Thanksgiving.
We do.
Where we bring all the leftovers. But I was looking, Mandy, I was looking at our leftovers, and I was like, I don't know, do we bring the flavorful stuffing, or maybe the awesome sweet potatoes? And I just couldn't think of what to bring to Friendsgiving.
I can't believe you outed me on the podcast that we have leftovers that we totally hoarded and didn't bring the things Friendsgiving.
Wait, no, we brought the desserts.
We did bring
We
dessert.
couldn't bring them all,
Right?
Because that would have been too much. No,
Some of them are for sandwiches.
we brought some desserts, but there's one that we brought that I can't remember that was just really good. Everyone liked it.
Yeah.
It was zesty.
It was. I mean, you guys did bring pie.
We brought some pie.
They were in
yeah.
individual tins.
Yes, individual pies.
Individual pies, which was nice because sometimes you don't know how much of a pie you want.
It's
Yeah.
true.
And when the choice is made for you, well, that's how much
Or
pie you have.
how about, hey, I want that pie, but I didn't want to cut it.
Yeah.
Boom.
Boom.
Individual pies already cut for you and packaged.
Yeah, and they were very good.
Yeah, but they weren't like they were sugary, they were sweet, but
Were they tasty?
they were tasty.
Yeah.
But Joe, you had some. What was it?
It was like it was the topic of the night.
It was
Like a tasty topic that everybody talked about.
Ooh.
No,
A tasty topic.
That was really good. That was delicious.
Yeah, it was good.
That was a delicious dish.
Pretty low in carbs too.
Yeah.
Oh, the topic? Yeah. Not the pie.
Oh no.
I did love the pies. They were all just individually. That was the best. All right, and this week's tasty topic, Amanda, you have it, right?
Yes. Speaking of Thanksgiving, we wanted to talk a bit about everyone's kind of Thanksgiving Day gaming traditions.
Okay.
We all play games all the time, so when the holidays come around, obviously things change. You're not at your house anymore. You're not in control of your time. You're spending time with family. So how does that affect you, and how does that affect your gaming? So for me, whenever we go out for the holidays, I'm just surrounded by family, so there's no way I couldn't even play a Switch. I have 3 nieces between the ages of
8 and 3.
Thank you, 3 and 8. And it's just not safe for my electronic devices. So my family has a tradition of playing outside sports, like low-key athletics, I guess.
Oh yeah. We're not like, playing a pickup game of like football or anything.
So when we were kids, we would play volleyball, and one of us would inevitably get very injured. And now it's pickleball. Yes, we're a gaming podcast, so I'm going to talk about pickleball.
What is pickleball?
Pickleball is like lame tennis. Is you all have like tennis-style rackets, but they're a little bigger, and you get pickleballs, which are like those. I think they were white when we were kids, but they're green now. They're just plastic balls with slats in them.
They're like
so when
bigger-
you hit them, they don't go very far.
They're like bigger
Okay.
ping pong balls.
Like
Right.
like wiffle
Like
balls?
a wiffle ball.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But you don't have a bat, you have a racket.
Okay.
So you set it up, and then you don't hit it on the ground. It doesn't bounce. So you just kind of badminton it back and forth.
Okay.
But it's less dainty than badminton. So we play with the nieces, and they're between 3 and 8. So they have between a absolutely no understanding of what's going on and a frustration that they're not articulate enough to do it on their own.
So the perfect age.
So the perfect age for pickleball. And then we have adults that take the game a little too seriously. And if you could just imagine like that wonderful dynamic of a bunch of things, it's a lot of fun. And it is now tradition.
Don't even play for points.
No,
It's
no, we
just
don't
hitting it
bring
back and forth until someone gets hit or it goes into the street.
We're also required to make fun of each other in a loving family type of ragging on each other kind of way. Like,
Yeah.
did you mean to hit it in the street? Because I'm not in the street. Like, I mean, I didn't know if you understood. We've only been playing for 5 years, so I didn't know if you
Hey,
knew.
maybe
how-
you should use your racket. You ever thought about
Oh,
that?
right. Yeah, you should use your racket.
That probably
Are
would
we-
help.
Are we winning? Oh, no, I wasn't pointing it out. I just wanted to know.
Well, I mean, nobody's keeping score, so who knows?
Exactly.
Nice. How about you, Troy?
Yeah, Thanksgiving's a fun time for me. I remember back in school, you would go to Thanksgiving, have a couple days off, but then the day after that, my mom would go shopping, and I'm not a shopping guy, so it'd just kind of be at home, and that meant video game time, like unbridled, like no mom, no responsibilities, nothing, just no school, just game it up. I don't do it as much anymore because now we're usually traveling and seeing people and spending time with loved ones on that day and drinking.
Yeah.
But I do remember, I think when Assassin's Creed 2 came out, the Black Friday of that time, I popped it in. I got it from GameFly back when that used to be a thing.
Oh, yeah.
And GameFly, whenever you finish a game, you can send it back in and return it, whatnot. So you had an incentive to beat it as quickly as possible so you can get more games. So I got Assassin's Creed 2 in the mail. It was Black Friday, popped it in, did not get up until I finished that game. Let me rephrase. I used the bathroom. But I played that game entirely in one sitting. Now, that is the game that introduced Ezio to the Assassin's Creed universe.
Yeah.
That's the game that established that Assassin's Creed is going to be more than just that first, prototype. It made all the Assassin's Creed since then are still kind of just Assassin's Creed 2, but iterated on. That was the game. I remember my dad watched a certain part of it, and it was cool because it had a whole database where I was like, hey, look, like this is, the statue, and this is Leonardo da Vinci over here. And you talk to him, and I would learn about paintings and all these things. And he was actually like, oh, wow, this is actually educational. And I'm like, yes, Dad. I probably looked crazy because I played for maybe about 13 straight hours at that point. But what was great about the Thanksgiving portion of that is that I didn't have to go out to get food. I think I was probably in my early 20s at this point. So I was probably out of school, so school wasn't a factor. But still, leftovers were already there from Thanksgiving, so I didn't have to go get food. There weren't any Ubers or anything to come bring me food. I didn't have to stop. I could just play, press pause for like a minute, get a sandwich, and then continue playing Assassin's Creed. So since then, it's always been a fun game. I haven't gone quite as hardcore as I did that one time, but it is always a fun time to kind of get a little silly with your time in gaming.
Yeah, nice. How about you, Joe? Any rituals?
I used to spend the entire time I was at my parents' house if I wasn't cooking. So I like to cook a lot. So if I wasn't cooking, which is, a morning thing, and usually in the afternoon you're not cooking too much, you're just waiting for Mom to get done with whatever so the turkey can go on the table and you can eat. I would spend that time playing Smash Brothers with my brother and my sister. And by playing, I mean they would spend all of that time trying to beat me. And
2 versus 1?
3 versus 1. We would add the computer in there too. I played very nicely with them. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't like I was like being mean or anything, but it was just one of those. If they could just knock me off once, it's like they won. So it was like the best day ever. I did that for years and years and years. And then my mom, we got one of those Wii U, the what are they? The pad that you would stand on. The Wii board, whatever it was called, the balance board. We got one of those one year. And then for the next 2 or 3 years, we would do that while anything was like cooling or right after dinner. Like we would all get together and my mom would be like, let's do the balance game. She was like super into it. So, we did that for a while. And I didn't really play much of that either because it was always like, who got the high score? Like, oh, let's all beat Joanne's high score. After a while, I was kind of like, all right, I don't want to be the only person doing this, guys. You're not taking it seriously? None of you are taking this seriously? Okay, I can't play with you guys. So, but they were really hyped into that. And then in recent years, now that I have the Switch, and I've almost always had like a Game Boy or a Game Gear or my DS, I played Animal Crossing like all through waiting for things. And Animal Crossing was really fun because there was always somebody talking about turkey in that too, which is great. Well, I am very thankful for video games. They kept my sanity around my family for a very long time. So, but then they were all fun. But that was only if I wasn't cooking. I really love cooking.
Yeah, you do.
So
and collectively, we're all good cooks.
Yeah.
So
collectively, yes.
Yeah. We all are. We all love cooking collectively.
Nailed it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so for me, relatively recently, because with Joe's family and over the last 10 years, we've been going to my parents and we go over to Joe's parents, and we do it that way.
All right, so, we're all married.
Yeah, we are. Oh God. But there's a lot less time for gaming, at least on Thanksgiving itself.
Oh yeah, totally.
And so, but back when it was just my family, what I would do is my parents would just lay out all the food. We would all grab it buffet style or whatever, sit down. If we wanted some more, we'd get back up, grab some more, come down. It was maybe about an hour and a half after actually eating. And we would eat early. We would eat at like 12:30. I mean, we still do, but like even back then, we would eat at 12:30. And then we would just, have leftovers for the rest of the day. If you want any more, there's some more over there. Go grab it. But it was a relatively quick affair. And then after that was over, I'd be like, all right, cool. I'm going to go play some Gran Turismo. And normally I would actually go and play it with my dad because, we were spending time together and everything. So, we'll play some Gran Turismo with my dad or, or he'll watch me play a game or still spend time with my family while playing games. But more recently, however, though, is with Joe's family, it's like a 3 or 4 hour affair. And it's great. I mean, it's pretty awesome. However, they want to be talking to you face to face, which is completely understandable because it's holidays.
If you have to, I guess.
Yeah, I know. God. But it's not like you're playing a game on the side or anything. So we're still doing my family to begin the day, and then we're going over Joe's house. But by the time we're done with everything, it's like 9 or 10 o'clock at night. And it's just like, I'm really full. I'm just going to sleep. Maybe I'll watch a show or a movie or something like that. Maybe we'll watch the Mummy.
Yeah.
And then we'll hit the hay.
Yeah.
We'll get some sleep. So my gaming has been a lot less these last several years.
I played Pokemon this year. It was great.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, and then also now that I work at a comic book shop or a retail store, I also don't have like 4 days off in a row.
You don't have that Black
Right.
Friday.
I don't have that Black Friday anymore. So
Well, you have the Black Friday. It's just different.
yeah, I'm in the thick of things for Black Friday and Black Weekend entirely.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't even have that much game time to play, and then by the time I get home, I'm
Thanksgiving,
kind of dead.
Not a great time for you.
Not a
in
great time for
games.
me.
Sorry,
Yeah,
it
no.
is. You have the opposite
have
of
the
what I have.
Exact opposite.
Also, though, for many years, our friends would get together on Friday,
Yes.
and we would
Yeah.
spend like 6 or 7 hours
Oh,
at
yeah,
a
yeah,
park
yeah.
with all of our leftovers. So if
Yeah.
we would all bring our DSs to
Yes,
play
we
as well,
would.
might I add.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
But
Yeah.
for years, we didn't have to do that, and then it kind of got too busy to where we couldn't take off.
Yeah.
There's where we are now.
Yeah, like we all still hung out on Friday. We
Yep,
all
yep.
the day after, like you guys said earlier, we had our Friendsgiving. And we all brought some of our leftovers, I guess.
I need my sandwiches.
But yeah, I mean, I'm actually enjoying the people time now. Not that I wasn't before, but I'm very much so enjoying it because a lot of the times I don't even get to see a lot of you guys afterwards. For months at a time.
Right.
So this really is like, oh, we all get together and we're all having a good time. We're all eating. We're all laughing. We're all having just a merry time. So I'm enjoying that. The game of real life.
Oh.
People mom.
Yeah.
Got to
People
spend
mom.
time with them all.
People mom.
Oh, yeah. I did not pick up on that.
Yeah.
But now I got it. It was a slow burn.
Yeah.
I heard people mom, and I'm like, people mom?
Oh,
What is
sorry.
a people mom?
I heard that as well. Then I made eyes with you. I was like, oh, wait, I know what this is. Yeah. All right. Well, good topic there, Amanda. And I hope everybody at home also had a great Thanksgiving or great time off.
Hell yeah.
Because we're thankful for you guys.
That's right.
Whoa, man. It's all saccharine on this podcast.
That's right. I mean, not Matt Smith or Jenny McCarthy.
Come on.
Neither of them.
Gosh.
Hate them.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Oh,
Joe's going to
Rationally.
edit you out.
I might.
I mean, I'd be thankful for that. All right, and now let's go on to our Dragon of the Week.
It's the dragon of the week. No, it's not meek. It's the dragon of the week. Oh, it's a treat. Dragon of the week. Dragon of the week is our chance to talk about some people in the industry that we admire
And are thankful for.
and are thankful for.
That's right. And this week, Joe, you have our Dragon of the Week, correct?
I do have our Dragon of the Week.
Ooh.
Yeah. This week I wanted to shine a little light on a gentleman that has worked on a couple games that really meant a lot to me. We will be talking about Daniel Chayer-Bisson.
Nice.
Yeah.
That sounds very
Daniel
French.
Bisson, I think, is most of the people are gonna. Because if you add the middle name in
Yeah.
there, which isn't his middle name, it's actually his first name. I guess he explains it in a couple
okay.
different different interviews where he is cursing about how he hates having to say this name because this isn't how he says his name. It's pretty great. But he worked with Crystal Dynamics. He worked in Ubisoft. He worked in a lot of different games, and he's been a part of the video game industry for the last 20 years or so.
Ooh, nice.
So he's French Canadian. He lived in Montreal for a very long amount of time. In his childhood, his love for Zelda is what kind of brought him into the video game world, and he really loved Zelda. So he went to school for animation, cinematography, and video games. So he graduated from animation film school in Toronto in 2000.
Wait,
and
he went to school for the thing that he is doing?
Yes.
God, that's so weird.
I was like, I felt like I hit a unicorn when I was doing research. I was like, he really wanted to do this? This is the best. So he worked on, I'll tell you a couple of the games that he worked on that meant a lot to me. Like he was the head game director of the recent Tomb Raider reboots for Crystal Dynamics. And he also did Naruto Broken Bonds for the Xbox.
Get out of here.
So he was a lead designer in that one, not necessarily the director, but I thought it was just really cool, and it's one of those to be on two of the games that I think I really appreciated.
Right.
And it's the same guy. I was like, "What is this madness?"
That's a great moment when you realize, I really like this game, and I like this game. I see how they.
Oh yeah.
So he got his first break actually as a writer and a designer in Vercom Interactive. He did a bunch of random games. I think one of them was called Lara's Happy Adventures, Hype the Time Quest, Alex Builds His Farm. You know, they're kind of fun games, right?
I gotta know more about Alex and his farm.
Right? So he did a couple games with them, and then he got a very big break being one of the core narrative team writers for Assassin's Creed #1.
Sweet.
So he worked on that game for a long time, and he worked on the director's cut when they added more information to it, or more story to it. And that actually at some point led him into full Ubisoft. Like he was a designer, he was not a composer, but a audio tech type person as well. And he then, from that point, with Ubisoft on 2008, worked on Naruto Broken Bonds, which is the sequel to Rise of the Ninja, which is one of my favorite games like ever made on the Xbox. He did all that. They did a really fun thing with that game. All the developers, all the designers, all the people who had anything to do with the art portion of the game actually put their gamer tags out there when the game came out because they had added a multiplayer thing to it. And on some forum somewhere, they were like, hey, this is all of the people that worked in this game, and if you want to versus them, they're going to pick a character, and you can play with them in the game in the versus mode. And then people on Reddit and people on different forums were like, this is a joke. Nobody really does this. And they're like, no, I assure you, these are the real people that developed this game. So then it like kind of caused like a really fun fan like thing where like, well, I'm going to have to beat you with the character that you guys are good at. You helped design this game. I feel bad. I'm going to have to beat you. It was so cute. And so like they did it.
Yeah,
it was a real thing. Everyone apparently got their bums beat pretty hardcore. So, but it was pretty cute. Like it was a neat weird thing. I hadn't seen that before. Like, and then I was reading about it as if because this is like in 2008. So it was kind of like I didn't even realize that game had a multiplayer part of it because I don't really do any of that part of the game.
Yeah, I
only did the single player stuff. So it was pretty great, and the game was still fun. So I don't no complaints here. So from working on Assassin's Creed and a couple of smaller games before that to working on Naruto, and then the company that he was working for got bought out by Crystal Dynamics, which then got bought out by Square Enix. And he was just at the right place at the right time with Brian Horton to be chosen as one of the two leads that would be the directors. He was the main director, and then there was another gentleman named Reed Phillips, I think.
Sounds right.
Yeah, I can't remember the fellow's name, but the two of them were basically, if you saw anything about Shadow of the Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider, or the middle game, they were the ones that did all of the talking. And he didn't do a lot of it because English isn't his first language.
Okay.
Almost every interview with this gentleman is in French. Right. So he basically, he said the third one was the one that he helmed the most of. And he was very involved in every single level.
Rise of the Tomb Raider?
Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
That's Shadow is the last one?
Shadow is the last one. At least as far as...
I think so,
yeah. But he basically... He was the director for all three games. But that was the one he said he took the most emotional role. And he said that he really wanted to close the series out with Lara having her darkest times happen and leaving his footprint, leaving the mark as like how she became the Tomb Raider that we all know and love now. And he said the first game was really hard for them because they were taking something that was so beloved. And he said his team that they were working with, he said that it was very, very difficult to kind of even show anybody anything because every time they put something out, people kind of backlashed it a little bit and like, that doesn't look like her. That doesn't act like her. What are you doing with this game? Are you ruining something that people have loved the last 20 years? You know? And he was like, they were all freaked out. Like they were all like, I think we've destroyed the Tomb Raider legacy. What have we done? And like, there's an interview with him that's really, really cute. It's from I think it's like a 2013 E3, and it's outtakes actually of him trying to just say his name and welcome people to watching the game at like the London E3 thing, or not E3, but the London game thing. So there was 3 cities that were going to release the information and show this new trailer of the game. and it's him going, "Hello, my name is like Daniel Chayer-Bisson," and he kept messing up his own name.
Wow.
They said they sent a crew to record a 30-second spot of him introducing the game and saying thank you to the fans, and it took them 2 hours. And so there's an interview,
That's
and they're like,
cute.
"Can we show the clips?" And he's like, "Yeah, go ahead." And so they show the clip, and it's him messing up his own name, cursing a whole lot. And like in between it, he's like, "Why are they talking back there?" He goes, "I finally say my name right, and they're going to start talking behind me. Are you serious? This is still happening." So you can see him off stage. You can hear people off stage kind of murmuring something. He's like, I know. I don't know why I can't do this. I don't know. This isn't my job. I'm not good at this part." So like then you go cut back to the interview that he's in, and they're like, "Thank you for being, having so much fun with us, and like, letting us show that clip." And he's like, "Yeah, it was it is what it is. Obviously, I'm not very good at this on the fly type stuff. I don't speak English normally. It's very difficult for me to be told what to say in English and have a screen in front of me saying in English, and I'm translating it from French to English to say it out loud." And then the interview goes, "I would venture to say that you're better at curse words than you are at English. That's your actual second language." So it was. The guy is really fun seeming, and they have Crystal Dynamics did this thing every Tomb Raider game they did like a cool interactive thing where they showed you the staff that was working on the game. There's like 30 of these little videos for every one of the games, and it's kind of cool. They showed you like, here's a little minute or two of this one person who worked on it and what they felt the most about it. And when Crystal Dynamics had their 25th year anniversary thing that they did, where it was like 25 years of us, he's in it in multiple points, and you can actually see him age in it.
Aww.
And it's really cute. It's very like, this is the beginning, and like this is like the end. This is this is the last game he'll be working on with them at that point.
Right.
So because I think they did decide, Crystal Dynamics maybe 4 years ago, they were only going to be working on a Tomb Raider game, this last Tomb Raider game, and then they were going to move to a different project entirely.
Yeah.
So he worked on other games as well. He worked on the Avatar series, the James Cameron games. He worked on Assassin's Creed. He worked on Naruto. He worked on Thief. He worked on Army of Two.
Oh,
he
Thief.
did.
Wow.
Oh yeah. Is it Deus Ex?
Deus Ex.
Deus Ex. There we go. So he worked on that, and it also a fun kind of side thing. He has the same name as a human being who is linked in every one of the things that you could tap on to go click on to read more about somebody. He's linked to a gentleman who I assume is him. He also has he does Foley artistry, since he did so much sound stuff, because in Thief that's what he did. He was the sound audio technician.
Okay.
He's worked on, it seems like 80 plus movies in Canada, a bunch of which have been the Canadian Academy Awards. A bunch of them have gotten nominated, and some have won.
Oh, wow.
So like if it is him, that's super duper awesome. I hope it is.
If it's not him, they should start a club.
They really should, because that guy worked on a lot of the games too. So, but it was really cool, and his philosophy was being part of a team was what made everything worked well.
Nice.
And anytime they were giving credit for something and saying he did a great job, he was always showering his team with that. Like, you don't understand. Every piece of our team was needed to make the games that we made. And to make them as good as they are. He's like, he goes, I got into arguments with Noah like a bunch of times. I got in arguments with Noah Phillips. That's what the guy's name is.
Oh, okay.
So I got in arguments with him multiple times. He goes, because we just had two different, very, very different versions of what we wanted. And he said that ultimately I didn't always win. And he goes, and I think the games were better for that, because our team was so strong that their feelings and their emotion, they were able to put it into words that I understood to try and make it better. So.
That sounds like a good leader right there.
Yeah.
Yep. He's awesome.
Yeah.
So I was very, very happy once I stumbled upon a couple of the other games he did. It was pretty cool. So yeah. He's pretty great. That's my Dragon of the Week.
Gosh,
That's pretty awesome.
the French Canadians are so good at games.
They are.
Yeah.
They are. I mean, we just don't know because they they speak French.
Yeah, they're probably telling us.
Yeah. Oui. I don't know.
You keep that to the tater talk.
I was gonna say, we don't do accents on this podcast, sir.
Oh, believe me, I don't do accents normally. All of my accents are about as good as your Irish there, Troy.
I believe it. Well, thanks, Joe.
Yeah, thank you very much. And what was his name again?
Daniel-Bisson is what, if you want to look him up, but it's Daniel Chayer-Bisson.
Yeah, it's such a daring thing to try and bring Tomb Raider back and to get it right.
Yeah.
Because that franchise had gone downhill. Tomb Raider Revelation was not great.
No.
Those last
Osiris
ones.
is good.
Yeah, that was kind of in the middle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's the other thing, though. Like, they even had to, bring her to different game, types of games.
Like puzzle games. They couldn't have her be in the action-adventure that she
exactly.
started in.
It was like Tomb Raider Go. You had Tomb Raider, like you said.
Temple of Osiris.
Yeah, Temple of Osiris, yeah.
They scaled back her, dumb sex stuff.
Yeah.
Her proportions. Wow, that's what I call things. The sex stuff. Do you mean boobs? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like they made her like a normal person in the new one.
Yeah.
Which is strange to have, a girl, a normal person in a game, right?
Right? Like, what's the point?
I don't understand. It doesn't make any
Are they
sense
going to want
me.
to vote next?
Jeez.
Tomb Raider election.
The only reason I liked that GBA game with that GBA Tomb Raider game is because the pixel boobies moved too. I mean, like, it was great.
But it was great that he helped pioneer that whole franchise.
Oh, yeah.
To reboot it.
Exactly. So, all right. Nicely done. Well, fortunately, that brings us to the end of the episode.
Boom. Wow.
Ooh, that was nice. That came from like your gut. That was good.
Guttural.
Yeah. As always, we record live upstairs inside Tate's Comics, powered by our friends, 3000 Brigade.
That's us.
That is us. You can find us online.
That's right. Check us out on Twitter for day-to-day views on things going on at Taste of Dragons, and also on Instagram at Taste of Dragons with some cool segments. We rank some dragons. We look back in the history of gaming. We also taste to the streets.
Ooh.
We just have fun stuff on in there. The content continues.
Absolutely.
Also check us out at tastedragons.com for more info on us.
Nice. What was this week's How to Rank Your Dragons?
Well, we ranked, I believe it was Applin. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the apple-type dragon from the new Pokemon game. Did not rank very well. Out of our list of 27, Applin went straight to number 25.
Well deserved.
Because it's an apple.
Yeah, it's an apple.
It's not a great dragon.
It really isn't. All right. Well, yeah, that'll do it for us. So once again, my name is Brian.
My name is Troy.
Amanda.
And I'm Joe.
Have a great
And
week.
we are...
The
Taste of Dragons.
We'll work it out one of these days. At least you remembered. It's good.
I didn't remember it, so I listened to the last one, and I was like, we didn't do the thing.
Yeah, we know
the
we did.
thing.
Have a great week, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a nice